Well, if you wait for the perfect deal, other people are going to buy it from you and make it cash flow. Now, you don't have to do every single one of these techniques into one deal. But if you can do one that gets you into a deal that works, then the deal is worth doing. If you can do one, get you into the deal, and maybe slide in another, and maybe slide in two, then that's just frosting on top of ice cream with a cherry on top with pineapple sauce and strawberry sauce. And it just gets better the more of these you can layer in. Hello again, all my real estate peeps. This is the second episode of low or no money down real estate investing using little or no money out of your pocket. This is 5 through 10. On the first episode, we did 1 through 5. Those were the first 5 tools. The episode got a little long, so we're splitting it into 2 episodes. Here's the 5. This is 6 through 10. The rest of the tools that you can use for low or no money down real estate investing. Here's a technique that I really love. We've used this one before with multifamily properties. At the beginning of our career, we would buy 3, 4, 6, 12 unit properties. And what we would do, we would seek out private money, not hard money, but private money. That's where we find an investor. We present the deal to them. We explain to them what we're going to do. We give them our business plan. You can see business plans in another podcast. But we explain all this to them, and they come in. What we've done is a debt position. So let me explain equity versus debt, okay? Equity position, they would come in as a partner and actually have an ownership stake in the property. So they would share in any gains that they may have to pay taxes on, and they would also share on the losses and the expenses that they could defer from their taxes. And then at the sale of the property, whatever the net was, whatever their proportion of that ownership equity is, they would take that out of the deal. So that's an equity position. We didn't do equity positions. We did simple debt. This is a simple one-page promissory note, a set term of interest, whatever they were going to give us. We'd say this is the interest you're going to get, and we would set up the note that they would get monthly interest payments. The term of the note would be 1, 2, or 3 years, depending on the deal we were doing. Larger property we may actually want to do for a little bit longer time. 3-unit property that we're going to rehab, get in and out 3 months, we might write for a year. So we would pay the interest for that year, and this is a debt position. They don't have any ownership. They don't have any voting rights. They don't share in any income or expenses in the deal. They have a set interest rate that they're going to get out of it. Now, doing this 2 years in a row, first year we purchased over $1 million worth of real estate, not using any of our money. The second year in a row, purchased over $1 million of real estate, again, without using any of our money. What we did is we lined up investors. The deal had to work. There needed to be enough coming in that we could pay the mortgage, pay the investor, run the property, the operations, make sure everything ran. So the net, most of these deals would have a 35 to 45% return on investment because of the way we structured the deal. I don't know if you could do that today with today's interest rates. Back then, 10, 15 years ago, it worked like a charm. We would buy millions of dollars of property, no money out of our pocket, give great returns to our investors, and at the end of 6 months, we were stuck with this property that cash flowed that cost us no money out of our pocket. It was a really great strategy. Now, here's the funny thing. When you pay off these investors, we were paying them off early, and the sad day for them is when we'd slide that envelope across the desk to them, they'd open up and say, "What's this?" I says, "Congratulations, the deal is done. We're paying off the note. Here's all the interest that we promised you for the whole year. We paid in advance." So they would open it up, very sad, knowing that they got all their money back. They got all their interest back, but they were no longer in the deal. So 2 things happen here. One is while they're in the deal, making interest and not having to deal with trash tenants and toilets, they're telling all their friends they're investing in real estate, getting a great return. That's wonderful because now their friends might become future clients or investors. The second thing that happens, and we found this out after we paid off the notes, when we were doing the smaller deals, we needed maybe $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to do a 3, 4, 6 unit property. That's back then. So we would pay off that investor the $60,000, $70,000. And of course, they're sad because they're not in the deal, they're not getting the interest anymore. And they'd say after a brief pause, well, what else have you got? And what could you do with 100? Or what could you do with 150? Who knew? I didn't know they had that money to invest. But now we've proven ourselves. They got their interest. We did the deal. They saw the deal. They saw the rehab. They loved what we did. Now they want to be in the next deal. So that's using private money to fund your deals. And again, 2 years in a row, we purchased over $1 million, not using any money out of our own pocket. So the result was we ended up with a net of about $3 million worth of property in 2 years that we did not have to go out of our pocket. I like this strategy. The next strategy I'm going to share with you, I haven't done this, but it is a great strategy for a multifamily property. Actually, the larger the multifamily property, the better this deal works. So I would definitely do this on a 6-family if you could do it. This would be a property where an owner, let's see, there's a couple of different ways this works. One way, it's called a wraparound mortgage. The other is a lease purchase option. So let's unpack both of these so you can understand the concept. So let's say Larry has a 6-unit property that I want to buy, but I don't have money. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write up a lease purchase option. So the first part is I'm going to create an option to buy this property. An option works like this. Larry and I are going to come up with an agreement that we're going to pay him X amount of money for his property. But because this is an option, like a lease option, think of it like leasing a car. When you lease a car, it might be 3 to 5 years. And then after that you pay the lease, you have the option of buying the property at a deal, at a price set by the dealer. So let's put this into housing terms, the 6-unit. Let's say we were going to pay $1 million for it, just to have round numbers, right? So the deal is in 5 years, we have a set price that this property would be $1 million. But what Larry's going to do is he's going to write over the property to me to own. Just like I'm driving the car, now I'm driving the property. I'm raising the rents, I'm making the repairs, I'm managing the cash flow, increasing the value of the property, increasing the cash flow I get, all the time while Larry is getting enough money to cover his mortgage plus whatever we agreed on. So maybe it's his mortgage plus $2,000. And that's the deal. We put that in writing. So Larry's all set. We're paying him enough money that he can make his mortgage. He's making enough money that he doesn't have to deal with trash tenants and toilets anymore. And he's putting some extra money in his pocket. And then on our side of it, because we control the property, we're able to increase the operations, decrease the expenses within reason, raise rents, implement other things to make the property more valuable. So now at the 5-year mark or 3-year mark, wherever it is, I can go into an institutional lender, get a mortgage based on the new operations of that property, and write off the check and pay Larry out of the deal. And all this can be done without stepping into a bank. You will need an attorney to draw up the lease purchase option. And the good news is after you've done one, you can take this as a boilerplate and do this technique over and over and over again. Now, let's say the market tanks and you can't pay $1 million for the property. Well, let's use the example of the car. In the car, we just give it back to the dealership. The lease is done. We got the enjoyment out of the car while we drove it. With the property, we had the cash flow while we control the property. So anything over what we had to pay Larry was our money to keep. You know, maybe there was a lease purchase option of $5,000, $10,000 to do the deal. If we made more than $10,000 over the 5 years, let's say that we made $1,000 for 5 years, that's 60 times 5, $300,000 that we would have cleared managing that property. let's say it was half that, 150, and we had to pay Larry his 10 down. We could easily walk away from that deal, $100,000, no problem, doing a lease purchase option. That's if it didn't work. Now, if it worked, we got the 100,000. Everything's done now because we've been able to just write over the property into a new mortgage at an institutional lender. Lease purchase options, powerful tools. This next technique, if you can do this, if you can find a way to use this, is the holy grail. This is like the sweet spot. If you can master this technique, you can do as many deals as you can find. Okay, what we're going to talk about right now is seller financing. Now, this works in really great. If you look at our direct mailing video that we shot, I think it's the mailing lists or marketing, but definitely check through the yellow golden nuggets. We've got direct mail in there. We talk about this. We have a blog post as well that talks about finding the sweet spot. So I'm not going to get into all those details to find this type of property. That's in another video. But let's say we've done all that work and we've found a property that, for this example, let's say the owner owns free and clear. They've owned it 30 years. Now, they're actually afraid to sell the property because they're going to get whacked with a huge capital gains. And yeah, I can understand that. So if it's $1 million property, they may have to pay $400,000 to $450,000 in taxes if they sell it. That's a scary proposition. Now, here's where you can use that as leverage. So let's talk to Jerry. We talked to Larry in the last one. We'll talk to Jerry in this one. So Jerry has a six-plex, a 6-unit property that we want to seller finance. So we have the conversation with Jerry that if he sells it outright and does it through a broker, not that there's anything wrong with this, he's going to pay the 6% to the broker, and he's going to pay his capital gains on the money that he gets from this, the boot and all that. I'll let the accountants figure all that out. I'll let the closing attorneys figure that out. I'm not the attorney. But the bottom line is he's going to have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it that way. So if we seller finance, I'm going to talk to the owner and say, look, what do you really need to make this deal work? And they will say something to the effect of, well, we really enjoyed the cash flow that we got so we could live on, but I don't really want to pay those capital gains or taxes if I sell the property. Great. So this is combination lease purchase option, whatever, but I'm writing a mortgage directly with the seller. They become Bank of 6-unit property, Bank of America. So we'll write the terms, we'll write the interest. Now they're only going to have to pay income on the interest that they are getting. So we can structure this deal however it works for them, that they will have the smallest impact on their taxes to do this deal. And if they want to do it for 5 years, if they want to do it for 10 years, we'll slowly start to get them what they need so they can sell this property and defer taxes, or even do it in such small chunks that it's not going to impact their lifestyle or be such a great deal, or a burden, such a great burden. It's still a great deal. So if we structure this whole thing and it all works, how many, this is a trick question, how many seller financing deals can you do? Let's say we didn't have to put any money down on this. How many can you do if you don't have to put any money down? As many as you can find. I would double check that other yellow podcast on the direct mailing tips to learn more about how to find these properties. So even if you had to put $10,000 down or whatever, you can now start to see where combining some of these other techniques, maybe you get a partnership or hard money lender to give you the $10,000 that you need to give to Mr. Seller, to write up all the paperwork. You know, there needs to be some consideration. I mean, I've heard fables of writing a contract for $1. Yeah, that happens. But with Mr. Seller of the 6 family here, maybe he needs a little bit more than $1. Maybe it's $10,000, maybe it's $20,000, maybe it's $30,000. You could do private money lending. You could do hard money lending. You could do a partnership. There's so many ways that you could come up with that fund without having to come out of your pocket to do it. So I really, really like seller financing because it opens up the door to control a lot of property. And because this is not written on a bank at a mortgage, it's not going to affect your credit score. It's not going to affect your debt service income ratio if you do eventually go get a mortgage on this property. So seller financing is a very powerful tool. The next tool I want to talk to you about is wholesaling. Now, wholesaling has gotten a bad rap, so let's bust that myth and get it out of the way. Some people say if you're taking someone's property and selling it to someone else, that you need to be a realtor. So there might be some squirreliness in there. If you're accepting money on a deal that you're not a broker, then you're actually not licensed to do that wholesale. Okay, so that's the myth. Let's bust that, okay? A wholesale deal. What you can do, if I'm going to talk to Joe, and Joe has a property and the numbers work, there's going to be that 70% rule where I'd be able to purchase it at 70% and then actually sell it to somebody else at 80%, and my markup is the spread in the middle. So if I'm able to do the spread in the middle, then a wholesale deal works. So I will control the property and then I will sell the property to someone else. The way I can do this, it's called an assignment. I can assign the property. So on the original, where I write the contract up for the wholesale, I will say I'm going to purchase it under my name, my entity, my LLC, or assignee. You have to have those words, or assignee. So once I have this contract in hand for this deal, whatever it's going to be, I can then sell this contract to somebody else. I can assign it to someone else. And whatever that fee or markup or spread in the middle is my commission as a wholesaler. So in this, I don't actually take possession of the property, but I'm taking the contract and selling the contract to somebody else. Now, this is sometimes called a double closing, where the seller, the wholesaler, and the assignee will all go to the closing. Okay, it's just a little bit more paperwork, may cost a couple $100 more for the attorneys to set this all up, but you can assign the contract to a wholesale. The other way to do it, which this is where it gets a little dicey. Some people frown on this, some people say it's okay. I have no opinion, no comment on this at all. But if someone gave them a deal, if I paid them to do the deal, finder's fee or a bird dog fee, it's called, realtors don't like it because realtors have to have a license to sell someone's property. A wholesaler kind of skirts around that issue. So I would just say vet the wholesaler, talk to other people that they've wholesaled deals to, and just cover your bases, make sure you're safe doing that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with wholesaling. It happens all the time. We go to the RIAs all the time. We see people who are wholesaling, and deals happen. Stuff gets done. People make a lot of money off of wholesaling. On the wholesale side, investors working with wholesalers get some really great deals and consider them team members, creating deal flow for them. So wholesaling can absolutely create deal flow for your business, and just hook up with the right wholesaler. What wholesaler is getting you the deals that you need for your business? And then again, wholesaling, you can multiply and layer all these other techniques. You could get hard money, you could get private money, you could partnership, you could get a loan from your grandma or your Uncle Bob, whatever it takes. Yeah, why not? Wholesaling, it's another tool in the tool belt to purchase properties for low or no money down. Here we are at number 10. Number 10, I got to say, is the holy grail. This is where, investors, as they're climbing up the ladder, most of the people I know, most of the people I interview on the show, they do this type of low or no money down deal. This deal is called a syndication. And again, we've got a lot of different podcasts and golden nuggets talking about syndication, things you need to look out for in your sponsors. But let's just wrap our head around syndication at 30,000 feet. So a syndicator finds deals and finds broker relationships to get these deals. They do the underwriting. These are usually larger deals. These could be multi-million-dollar deals, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, $30 million. So you and I, looking at our bank account, probably don't have that kind of money to pull down a $5 million deal. So what we will do is we will structure a deal where we as general partners who provide the opportunity will carve out a smaller slice of the deal. And we will offer the larger pie to the limited partners who bring the money into the deal. So let's just put some numbers on the table. We have a deal on the table. General partners are going to retain 30% of the deal for everything that they did to present this opportunity so the limited partners could make money. The limited partners, their job is to stroke a check and wait for a bigger one back. Now, because this is an equity position in the deal, they do share in any gains and they do share in any expenses or losses. So typically, when a limited partner comes into a syndication, they're able to offset their gains through depreciation of the asset. So they're in a really great tax position coming in as a limited partner. And at the end of the deal, they're in a really great income position because they're going to get their 70% of any gains, 70% of any income as it comes in. They're going to get 70% on the overage after they pay off the mortgage when the property is sold. They would get 70% if it refis. They are always in a great position. There are waterfalls and other types of structures in the syndication. And again, we're not going to get into that on this video, but I just want you to grasp the whole concept here. So a syndicator goes out, makes broker relationships, gets deals, does the underwriting, finds a deal that works. They will do all the hard work and vetting of this deal, and then they will offer this to limited partners who will typically bring in the down payment money. Now, the GP can also make money on these deals through asset management fees, through syndication fees, all kinds of different fees. Now, you don't want to feed people to death. You want to do a nice, clean deal so they'll come back again on your next deal. So that is number 10, which is syndications, on how you can structure deals with low or no money down. So there it is. I know this podcast probably went a little long, but there's some really good tools in here. So hope you were taking notes. If you weren't taking notes, just bookmark this page. You can come back and check it out again. And again, you've got 10 different tools on this video, but you can do combinations. You probably heard me saying over and over again, any of these strategies you could do as a partner, private money, or hard money, and now limited partners. So there's combinations of all these different strategies that you can layer into your deals. Now, there's the shiny golden ring on the merry-go-round where investors will say, well, I'm only going to do a deal if I can get seller financing and get hard money and private money, and all the planets need to be in alignment, and it needs to be the perfect deal. Well, if you wait for the perfect deal, other people are going to buy it from you and make it cash flow. Now, you don't have to do every single one of these techniques into one deal. But if you can do one that gets you into a deal that works, then the deal is worth doing. If you can do one, get you into the deal, and maybe slide in another, or maybe slide in two, then that's just frosting on top of ice cream with a cherry on top with pineapple sauce and strawberry sauce. And it just gets better the more of these you can layer in. But do not snub or turn up a deal. I mean, say it's seller financing and you can't get private money or some other person to put in the money into the deal. If the deal still works, do the deal. There's other ways you could do it that we haven't even talked about to raise money, but let's just keep it simple for here. So to wrap it up, you can combine any of these techniques, and if you want to find out more in depth on any of the stuff we covered in this golden nugget, pick up the book by Brandon Turner, Real Estate investing in real estate with low or no money down. Definitely the longest title for a book in history. So, all my real estate peeps, I really enjoyed this one. I wanted to do this for a long time. Finally got a chance to do it. We're here on Eagle Beach, so I'm going to sign off now. Maybe swim a little bit, enjoy. Happy hour is going to pop open pretty soon. So I hope this adds to your tool belt, gives you some ideas. Now go out there and find some deals and see if you can buy them with low or no money down. This is Brian Lucier from the Why Not Real Estate Podcast Golden Nugget. See you on the next one.